Ignite is an ongoing series of speedy presentation. Each speaker gets only 5 minutes and 20 slides that auto-advance every 15 seconds.
Okay, let's go. Hi, I'm Kernan Coleman, former magical thinker, and I'm here to talk about skepticism. Now, the word skeptic is often confused with the word cynic or asshole, but, that's not true necessarily. It's about critical thinking. Critical thinking is using evidence and reason and logic to understand the world around us. It prevents the wool from being pulled over our eyes. And contrary to popular belief, you can still love kittens. It's okay. Now, classical skepticism tells us not so much what to think, but how. Skepticism is based on both deductive and inductive reasoning. It's a vital skill in a complex, changing world. And next to love, it's one of the most important things you can teach your child. Now, the first principle is that you must not fool yourself and that you are the easiest person to fool. The great Richard Feynman said this, and it's the foundation of how I look at the world. Critical thinking is one of the main pillars of science, but it's applicable in all of your life. Now, children are natural-born scientists. They ask questions about everything, and they never stop. Like, why is the sky blue? Why are ladybugs red? Where do bugs go at night? Are ladybugs really ladies? What's passive-aggressive? Is daddy really passive-aggressive? Now, on the flip side, we're also wildly creative by nature, and we spin incredible tales of fantasy and wonder that stretch our imaginations to their limits. It's just that when we confuse fantasy and reality, somebody usually has to pay the price for it. Now, one of the foundations of being a critical thinker is recognizing logical fallacies, and these are arguments that are usually emotionally driven and charged, and they're twisted to work the arguer's perspective. They're based on false premises, and I, for one, used to use these like candy. One of my favorites was the straw man argument, and that would be like, let's say you're trying to prove that homeopathy is as effective as vaccines, and instead of presenting scientific proof, you go off on how evil pharmaceutical companies are, and that's kind of hard to deny, but it's not valid evidence because it's a distraction. Now, here the arguer claims his point is valid because somebody's in a position of authority said it was true. Well, George W. Bush and Sarah Palin were in positions of authority, so I rest my case. So, in the next slide, I captured this evil-looking fellow peeking out of our bathroom medicine cabinet at work. And maybe you've seen some of his famous friends, Jesus and the Taco, Mary and the Water Stain, or Quetzalcoatl and the Cookie, or maybe just old Uncle Thaddeus in the linoleum of the kitchen. It's called pareidolia, and while it can fool us, pareidolia is one of our core perceptive modalities. Without it, we wouldn't be able to recognize our own mothers, and all of our tabloids would go out of business, probably. So you've heard the next one about 1 million times, but it's an essential tool of a critical thinker. It would be wonderful if there was a simple cure for cancer or pills that made your car get 200 miles per gallon or room temperature fusion, but, there probably you would have heard of it if there really was such a thing. Well, unless, of course, yeah, I used to fall for these too. And then I would always get to the point where you'd have to get pretty much everyone in the entire world involved in it for it to be true. And that's when all of my critical thinking started overtaking my magical thinking. So this next one's like a glue trap for skeptics. It's bad. It goes like this. Just because no one's never seen the flying spaghetti monster does not mean that he is not real. Well, you can't disprove that. He could be touching us with his noodly appendages right now, and you wouldn't even know it. So don't go there. Now, alternative medicine's fertile ground for testing your critical thinking skills, and if you ask how some product works and the answers involve the words energy or quantum, run away. There's a good word for alternative medicine that's been proven to work, and it's medicine. So now I used to believe that scientists and skeptics were just closed-minded and that they just didn't believe enough. But in retrospect, it was believing too much that made my prison. And the uncertainty of skepticism, while unsettling, was really quite liberating. Now, how open-minded is too open-minded? Well, if someone says, like, maybe Queen Elizabeth is a shape-shifting lizard from Zeta Reticuli who is, like, seeding the atmosphere with nanobots that control our minds for the Illuminati, you might want to question that one. Now, admitting you don't know all the answers may not feel as safe as having all the facts or even making stuff up, but it's bracing. I used to love knowing all the answers and being the know-it-all, but now I love asking all the questions. That's really kind of awesome. And learning from failure is a hallmark of a critical thinker. Scientists work their whole lives sometimes to disprove their own theories. And, sometimes they hold up, but sometimes they crumble to rubble, and it's in that rubble that they find the truth. And don't worry about Bambi in the last slide. She totally got away. It was okay. So, embracing skepticism has cranked up my sense of wonder to 11, and the real universe is so amazing, I can't even remember why I thought channeling was cool. To quote Anatole France, "The wonder is not that the field of stars is so vast, but that we can measure it." Thank you, Sebastopol. Keep thinking.